Morning all and welcome back once again to I Like Watches. I've got an absolute perler for you today, literally a mother of perler. It is a new release by Zelos, the Nova, a new version of this watch. And as you can see, they have sent me to show you in this video the version with the mosaic mother of pearl dial. Mother of pearl dials are awesome, but for some reason they just look even better when they're made like this, with little pieces of mother of pearl put together to make pretty patterns. It's now the second Zelos that I've shown on this channel with a mosaic mother of pearl dial. This one's a little bit more subdued than the previous one, and I think that probably suits the watch. It is a dress watch. The other watch that I showed that had a mosaic mother of pearl dial was their more boisterous field watch, so it sort of suited a brighter, stronger looking dial, whereas this one, it's a little bit more pale, a bit more reserved, but still lots of light play. I had a lot of fun filming this watch, of course. Quite a lot to show you actually, despite it coming on a leather strap. Very nice leather strap, a Horween leather strap. Yeah, 5 different versions available. This is probably the one I would have picked, although they are offering a rather pricey Tantalum cased version. If you're not familiar with Tantalum, I don't know if I'm saying that right, but it is the rarest stable element in the solar system. It's more rare than gold. It's not as valuable as gold, but it is a very valuable element, and that is one of the reasons why that particular version is being made in a much smaller number. There's only 50 Tantalum versions available, and they're quite a bit more expensive, as you would expect. But the case on that version is bead blasted apart from the bezel, whereas the case on this one, it's a standard stainless steel case, but it's fully polished, and I think it's going to suit the style of watch much better. Now, with it being a Zelos, if you want one of these, you're probably going to have to get in there pretty quick. They've been available for a little while, not very long at all. They've only just launched, to be honest, but they don't make watches in huge numbers. If you are interested in picking up one of these watches, I suggest you get in there pretty quick. And I wouldn't be surprised if this particular version proves to be the most popular version as well. But I might be wrong. Let me know, guys, in the comments section which of their 5 versions stands out the most to you. Now, one specification that Zelos seems to be focusing on when it comes to this watch is the slimness of the case, the movement, the watch itself. There is a piece of double-domed sapphire crystal on this watch, which is going to increase the thickness, of course, but on their website they're saying the case without the crystal is 7mm thick. The movement is a hand wind only movement. That movement is 2.5mm thick. And with the crystal, I measure this watch at 8.9mm thick, which is pretty slim, I've got to say. But let's not forget, this is not an automatic movement. There's no rotating rotor in the back of this watch. It's a hand wind only movement, an ETA 7001. It's a very nice movement, beautiful finishing on this movement, blued screws. Every element of this movement appears to be decorated. The light play is off the charts. It doesn't look like a particularly big movement, so you have a fairly broad border around the outside of the case back. It's fully polished display case back, of course, sapphire crystal, so you're going to get sapphire crystal in the front of the watch as well, given you've got sapphire crystal in the case back. But you can see all of the movement through this piece of crystal, and yeah, it looks really, really good. Cracking movement, Swiss movement. But I got to say, I think I would probably have preferred a quality automatic movement inside this watch, and accepted that maybe, you know, the watch would have come out a little bit thicker. Beautiful little subdial. That is, of course, the seconds hand. It is a non-hacking movement. I do like the shape of the hands, though. The seconds hand is actually quite interesting, isn't it? It's not just a sort of standard boring needle hand. There's a nice shape to it. I like the other 2 hands, dual facet polished hands. I'm not wild about the centre of the dial, though. Yeah, the hands at the centre of the dial looks a little bit open and unfinished. But it's not really something you're going to notice too often, I don't think. Although the dial is a mosaic mother of pearl dial, there's a little bit more detail on it, isn't there? You've got the Zelos logo at the 6 o'clock, nice applied numbers, a couple of, well, quite a few metal rings on this dial. You've got a frame around the subdial at the 6 o'clock. Some applied markers around the outside of the dial. It's a very, very pretty dial. There's no denying it, is there? And of course, with it being mother of pearl, each one's going to look a little bit different. And I like the way that they have coloured the mother of pearl around the outside of the dial and blue, and towards the centre it's white, isn't it? Much more natural looking. Gorgeous colours. Absolutely gorgeous. So this watch looks good from the front and from the back, and I think it looks good from the side as well. The case is fairly simple, but there is a little bit of detail on it. A beautiful bezel. Of course, you've got that sapphire crystal. You've got a step on the lugs, on the outside of the lugs. I like the shape of the lugs as well. It's a beautifully proportioned watch. One that looks good from, any angle. And it looks okay on this strap, although it's not my favourite strap. It feels like a nice strap, actually. It feels very oily, very slick, very greasy, very soft, very malleable. It's going to conform to your wrist immediately. The stitching on the strap appears to have been discoloured, perhaps, by the oiling process. I think that stitching is supposed to be brighter, maybe even white or a light cream colour. I think it looks a little bit discoloured. And I suspect that is as a result of the sort of treatment or the oiling process of this strap. As they're rubbing this strap and treating this strap, some of the colour that has been applied or that has been used to make the strap this colour has essentially bled into the stitching, so it just looks a little bit dirty. The buckle as well, it's an interesting choice. It's brushed and polished. There's no brushing on the case anywhere. I would have expected to have seen a slightly more discreet, polished, more delicate, more suitable buckle. It's signed, it's beautifully finished, but it's just not one I would have expected to have seen on a strap on this watch. And water resistance, I haven't mentioned that yet. 50 meters of water resistance, pull push crown. That's more than enough, I think. Now, these watches have launched at a sort of discounted price, $800 For this particular version, the cheapest one is $749 and that Tantalum one has launched at $1,999 which is a pretty penny. You're going to pay a premium for that very rare element case, aren't you? The rarest, in fact, in the solar system. Stable element, I should say. Certainly not the most affordable Microbrand dress watches you're going to encounter in 2024, but there's no denying Zelos do make incredible watches. Very, very popular watches, and there are going to be plenty of people out there prepared to spend the money. So if you want one, don't hang around. Link in the video description. It's not an affiliate link. It just takes you over to their website. Right, guys, as always, massive thank you from me to you for tuning in. I do appreciate it.